Hey guys, Sean Nalawani here, SeanNal.com, BodyTransformationTruth.com, and in this video here I want to talk a little bit about cheat days and why it's something that you need to be very careful with because all-out cheat days can really easily throw your fat loss results off track if you're too reckless with them. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with what a cheat day is. Usually it's done once a week where you stick closely to your diet for 6 days, and then on one day of the week you're allowed to reward yourself by eating your favorite foods and by eating more of them. Now, I'm totally in favor of the concept of flexible dieting, and it absolutely is possible to eat your favorite foods on a pretty consistent basis and still get very lean. But at the end of the day, fat loss still comes down to net energy intake versus net energy expenditure. So in the big picture, over the course of a few days and a few weeks, you need to maintain a calorie deficit by burning more calories than you're consuming. And the problem with all-out cheat days where calorie intake isn't accounted for is that they can pretty easily erase or at least hugely reduce the deficit that you created during the rest of the week. So usually a standard deficit for fat loss would be somewhere around 500 calories below maintenance. So if you maintain that for 6 days, then that would be a 3,000 calorie deficit. Now, if you then go ahead and binge on the 7th day, every calorie that you eat above your maintenance level is directly counteracting that 3,000 calorie deficit that you had. Now, everybody has a different appetite, and people do approach cheat days differently, but let's say you ate 1,500 calories above maintenance, which is pretty easy to do on a cheat day. Most people probably wouldn't have a problem with that. Right there, you're already, you're already cutting your total calorie deficit right in half. But for most people who do go all out on a cheat day and who do have a decent appetite, eating 4,000 or 5,000 calories really isn't unrealistic. That's maybe a couple of high calorie restaurant type meals, maybe a dessert, and then whatever else you're eating throughout the day. And that all adds up very quickly. And because you've been in a calorie deficit, you're gonna be craving those high calorie foods a lot more than normal because your body is hardwired for survival. It doesn't care about you getting lean abs. It just wants to get back to equilibrium. And then on top of that, you've probably heard trainers or other experts telling you that cheat days are actually beneficial and that you can just go ahead and eat whatever you want because it's gonna spike your metabolism and it's gonna shoot your leptin levels through the roof, which is actually gonna make you lose more fat, but this is just totally untrue. But when you hear that, it gives you more permission to just sort of go crazy with things. But anyway, for most people, if you were to eat 4,000 or 5,000 calories in a day, that would basically undo a high percentage of your total calorie deficit, in which case you're either gonna lose fat way slower than you could be, or you're not gonna lose any fat at all. And then on top of that, like I covered in a recent video, most people don't even track their calorie deficit properly throughout the week in the first place. And so a pretty high percentage of people who think that they're eating, say 500 calories below maintenance, they're actually off by quite a bit, and they actually might be eating at a much smaller deficit, in which case cheat days are going to be even more dangerous. And then in extreme cases, some people actually end up gaining weight even though their goal is to lose weight. So what should you do instead so that you can enjoy your favorite foods and still get lean? My first piece of advice would be, like I've mentioned many times before, is to just forget the idea of cheat days or cheat meals altogether and just focus on developing an overall lifestyle where higher fat and higher sugar foods are just part of your regular diet, but they're simply eaten in moderation. So rather than thinking of it as starving yourself during the week and eating nothing but clean foods and then binging once a week on cheat foods, just merge the two together so that your diet is mostly based on what you'd call clean foods. So high quality proteins, minimally refined carbs, fruits, veggies, healthy fats. And then once you have those bases covered, allow for around 10 to 20% of your calorie intake to come from whatever foods you want. They're not cheat foods, you're not breaking the rules. It's just part of how you eat because you're a human being and part of life is enjoying food. So you're getting those higher quality foods to meet your overall health needs and your muscle building and fat burning needs, but you're also getting the satisfaction of eating the foods that you like the most. But just remember that calories absolutely do matter, and those higher calorie foods have to fit into your overall calorie intake for the week if you want to see ongoing fat loss results. And you can lay this all out based on preference. If you like being able to eat those higher calorie foods every single day, but in smaller amounts, then go with that. Or if you get more satisfaction out of eating bigger portions, but having them less often, then that's fine too. Just make it fit into your overall week and lay it out in the way that you enjoy the most. And then aside from that, the second thing you can do is, rather than having what you'd call a cheat day once a week, instead have a refeed day once a week. And that means that rather than just binging and going all out and not keeping track of anything, you're instead just going to eat at your calorie maintenance level. A slight surplus is not a big deal, but it should still be around your maintenance level nonetheless. So that will allow for probably an extra 500 calories or so, and usually with a refeed day, you'd get the majority of the increase from carbohydrates. So that would be about an extra 125 grams of carbs, which is a decent amount to give you a good psychological boost, enjoy some additional food, and possibly offset some of the typical dieting side effects that you'll usually experience after you've been in a deficit for a while. Now, if you have been using the approach of cheat days and you're able to exercise some moderation and you're losing fat just fine, then I can't argue with that, obviously, and you can just continue. But if you do find that you're going in these cycles of calorie deprivation followed by huge calorie overconsumption and you're not losing fat, then just get rid of the idea of cheat days and, number one, start tracking your calorie intake with more accuracy and just allow 10 to 20% of your intake throughout the week to come from your favorite foods. And secondly, do a refeed day once a week where you eat at your calorie maintenance level, because that's going to give you a nice break from your diet, but it won't counteract the calorie deficit that you worked for during the regular week. And as a last note here, everything that I'm saying also applies to bulking phases, in which case excessive cheat days won't reduce your actual muscle growth, but they'll just cause you to put on an excessive amount of body fat. And refeed days don't apply in bulking phases because you're already eating in a daily surplus. And guys, if you want to get a complete step-by-step plan that shows you how to eat and train in a way that is highly effective but also sustainable, like I've talked about in this video, then you can download my Body Transformation Blueprint by clicking here or by heading to bodytransformationtruth.com using the link in the description. If you enjoyed the video, as always, make sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe to stay up to date on future videos. You can also check out my official blog over at SeanNall.com for all of my latest updates, and you can follow me on social media here if you aren't already. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys again soon.